did my girl. Every morning, around 8:06, I sneeze for the first time. I take a minute to recover, then I sneeze again at 8:07. This has happened every day for a couple months now, and doesn't change no matter what antihistamines I take, what room I'm in, or what laundry detergent I use. It's gotten to the point where my co-workers have a bet to see who can race across the building and give me a tissue first. We have to hand it to me between the first and second sneeze, or else it doesn't count. This morning is different, though. I hide in a metal locker, desperately pinching my nose shut as the clock ticks closer to 8:06. Red lights filter through the vent holes intermittently, and fire alarms blare overhead. An indifferent robotic intercom communicates evacuation instructions that I can't hear over the shouting just outside my locker. Tell me where he is. I can just see through the vent a man holding one of my coworkers by her collar. It looks like he's speaking so close to her face and so forcefully that she probably feels a rain of spit across her nose. I don't know where he is. I hear shoes scuffling. She's trying to pull away from him, but he's too strong. This woman, our company's only intern, was just in the wrong place the wrong time. I'd been watching her rush around the room, pushing on doors but finding the exits all locked. If he hadn't had a key card to get in, she would have been safe. I swear, he's not here. Just let me go. He grabs her neck, and I slam my eyes shut. A hard thump, the vibration of which I feel in the floor, interrupts her pleading. I wait in dreadful silence, hoping that she gets up. But all I hear is his footsteps away from me, as the insides of my nostrils start to sting. Oh no. I open my eyes just enough to see my watch ticking. 8:05, 57, 58, 59. My sneeze reverberates through the locker, echoing painfully in my ears. I freeze, horrified as the big man's footsteps stop. I clamp my hand down over my mouth, foolishly hoping that he won't be able to pinpoint the source of the sound if I remain entirely silent. He reaches the locker I'm in and tries the door. I put all my weight into holding it shut. He tugs again, and I dig my fingers into the narrow vent holes, metal digging into my damp, sweaty skin. He pulls again, and my shoes skid against the metallic floor of the locker. I tumble out into him, and he pushes me against another locker. Well, there you are, he leers at me as I struggle against him. I didn't think you could fit in there. Please, I say, I don't know what you want, just let me go. I've got something just for you. He holds me up with one fist, clenched painfully around my necktie, and reaches into his back pocket for something. Something warm and wet splatters against my face before he can retrieve it. His eyes bulge from his head, and blood spouts from his jugular. His grip on me slackens. When he finally falls over, I see the intern standing behind him. Blood trickles from her forehead. But that doesn't explain all of the dark red splatters along her blouse. Red shoe prints trail behind her, and the knife that she used to kill my assailant is chipped and bent. Dried blood is encrusted on the handle. Before I can ask what the hell is happening, she yanks my hand towards her. She places a neatly folded, white tissue into my palm. The only thing that mars the tissue's surface is a bloody fingerprint. I did it, she says, voice shaky. Her pupils are two different sizes, and she stands lopsidedly. Her voice quakes, but she smiles proudly up at me. I handed you the tissue first. I don't sneeze at 8:07. I was drunk the first time I heard it. At least, that's what I told myself. It was just past midnight, and I was slouched on my couch, TV murmuring some late-night infomercial. Baxter, my golden retriever, lay curled up beside me, his tail thumping lazily against the cushions. Good boy, I muttered, scratching behind his ears. Good boy, a voice whispered back. I sat up so fast, my head spun. The house was quiet. The TV host droned on about non-stick pans. Baxter stretched, yawned, and settled back down. I stared at him. Did you just... My voice trailed off. He didn't react. I rubbed my face, let out a nervous laugh. Too much whiskey, too little sleep. That had to be it. But then it happened again. And again. At first it was simple, almost sweet. Good boy, love you, sleep tight. A whispery echo of things I'd said to him before, like a parrot. Then it got weird. I watch you sleep. I tried to laugh it off. Maybe I'd said that to him once as a joke, drunk or delirious. Maybe he was just repeating it back. Then one night, as I was locking up, he whispered, "You should lock the door." The hairs on my arms stood up. My hand froze over the deadbolt. The door was already locked. I turned to look at him. Baxter was lying by the stairs, staring at me. Mouth closed, but I swear I still heard it. Faint as a breath against my ear. "You should lock the door." I didn't sleep that night. I started testing it. "Baxter, what's 2 plus 2? I asked one morning, voice light, joking. He just wagged his tail. I chuckled. "All right, buddy. Say, Baxter is the best dog." Nothing. Maybe I was losing it. That night, as I lay in bed, I felt him jump up, circle once, then settle at my feet. His warm breath puffed against my toes. I was drifting off when the whisper came again. "Don't turn around." A cold rush of adrenaline flooded my veins. My body stiffened. He was at my feet. His mouth wasn't near my ear. I swallowed hard. "Why?" I whispered. Silence. Slowly I turned my head. Baxter was staring past me, eyes locked on something over my shoulder. Unblinking, I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The whisper came again, softer than ever, but clearer than before, because it doesn't like to be seen. I shot up, flicked on the bedside lamp, heart hammering. Nothing was there. Just my empty room. Just my dog, staring, but this time his tail wasn't wagging. I didn't sleep. I left the lamp on, the TV humming in the background, anything to keep the silence from creeping in. Baxter stayed at the foot of my bed, curled up but rigid, ears twitching at, sounds I couldn't hear. I kept telling myself I was imagining things, that he wasn't really whispering, that none of this was real. But then, around 3 a.m., he growled. Not the playful, throaty grumble he made when I scratched his belly. This was low, deep, a sound that didn't belong in his throat. And he wasn't looking at me. He was looking at the closet. A chill crawled up my spine. "Baxter," I whispered. "What is it?" His growl deepened, lips pulling back over his teeth. His body trembled, but he didn't move. The closet door was open, just a crack. I was sure, so sure, that I had closed it. The whisper came again, but this time, it wasn't soft. It was wet, sticking to the inside of my skull like breath against glass. "It knows you're awake." Something shifted behind the door, a rustle, the scrape of fabric against wood. "You should have locked the door." Baxter launched himself off the bed, snarling, charging the closet with more rage than I had ever seen in him. The door slammed open, and for one heart-stopping second, I saw, no, I felt it, a shape, a wrongness, something not meant to be seen. Baxter yelped, then whimpered, then went silent. The air in the room pressed against me, thick and heavy, a presence curling around my lungs. My legs wouldn't move, wouldn't run, wouldn't... The closet door creaked shut. Click. And just like that, it was over. Baxter lay motionless on the floor, his body limp, breath coming in shallow, rapid pants. I scrambled to him, hands shaking as I ran them over his fur. "Baxter, are you okay?" What the hell was that? He didn't look at me, didn't react, didn't whisper. He was fine. Physically, at least. And by the morning, he was up and moving again. It's been weeks since then. Baxter still eats, still wags his tail, still follows me from room to room. But he's not the same. He won't go near the closet, won't even look at it. And at night, when he curls up at my feet, I swear I can feel him trembling, like he's listening to something I can't hear. I don't know what was in my closet. I don't know how he started talking to me, but I know he was doing it to keep me safe. And I know that, if something ever comes out of the closet again, I'll do what I can to protect him. The skin vulp. The 12-inch kitchen knife penetrated my abdomen with such force, I could feel it pierce into the solid wooden chair behind me. It wasn't an unusual sensation for me at this stage in my life, but it wasn't something I thought I'd ever get used to. The blade rooted around in me, searching my intestines like a plumber cleaning gunk off an ancient faucet. I was on the verge of passing out when it at last found the small, blood-soaked box it had been mining for. The thing standing over me eyed it greedily as it ripped it from my small intestine with a callousness akin to rooting a grub out of the dirt. The blade fell from its hand and landed with a clunk onto the dirty linoleum. With a too-wide smile, it lapped up the blood from the box until it could see the small incantation etched into the front. Its ungodly grin dropped immediately, and in a blink, it was on top of me once again. The grotesqueness of its face, mere inches from mine. It let out a sandpaper growl, and spoke with such a quiet voice that if it hadn't been so close to me, I could not have even perceived it was speaking at all. Keep! Through fits of crimson running down my chin and cheeks, I managed to spew out what I had rehearsed in the mirror for a week. Before this nightmarish rendezvous even took place. Payment. The abomination slowly returned to its feet, producing an iron-black coin that had dropped inside my shredded, burning stomach. The deal being complete, I tensed, and in a few seconds, everything returned to its rightful starting position inside me. Feeling much better and with my confidence back in spades, I kneeled off the chair, picking up the blood-soaked blade from the floor. I chuckled to myself that the towering Lovecraftian nightmare before me was at my mercy for even the slightest moment, at least until I gave him what he desired. Using the point of the blade, I drew a blood-smeared 5-point transmutation circle on the floor and motioned for the creature to set the box in the middle of it. It obeyed my command, its eyes a deep flowing sea of red that thousands of humans had been lost to. With the box placed in the center of the circle, I whispered to it and pressed my thumb down hard on the south side of the circle. Disarrow. At the sound of my word, the 5 points of the circle glowed and the box unceremoniously clicked open. The creature was upon the box in an instant, pulling a tiny piece of scroll out and scanning the knowledge it held within. Suddenly, the creature let out a howl, not quite like the growl from before, but an abhorrent cacophony of sound. This sounded almost like it was as if darkness itself were laughing at the light. The sounds ended, it turned the waves of red back into me and uttered one barely perceptible word with a sharp-toothed excitement.